The following show features episodic breakdowns of Jackass, either performed by professionals or under the supervision of professionals. For your safety, avoid listening to this podcast at all times. Hi, I'm Mikey Aaronworth.
I'm Jason Wellwood.
And I'm Chris Aaronworth.
Welcome to Jackass.
Welcome to Jackass. It's the podcast where we're on a path of destruction through every single episode of Jackass and WildBoyz and Viva La Bam. My name is Mikey Aaronworth, and I'm here to celebrate the bad ideas, broken bones, belly laughs, and everything in between from Jackass. I'm here with my co-host right now, Chris Aaronworth, also my
Chris
brother.
Aaronworth.
Chris Aaronworth, your brother.
I'm bubbly today. You know what? For once, we actually decided to do the recording at more up to my... They kept making me wake up early. I was all yawning.
Yeah,
I was watching
Chris,
myself on video last week.
What's early to you?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock is early. Okay. You know, most people are almost about to have lunch at that point. Their second meal of the day.
Yeah, well, most people are about to wake up to go to work. I'm still up there freaking jerking off and watching porn. So you know what I mean? Like,
you're right. That's a good point. Yeah.
You know,
so Chris, why don't you first of all, in case you're wondering where Jay is, this week is most likely the last episode before Jay returns from his vacation. He'll be back to join us very shortly. Chris, though, why don't you lead us in? We're doing WildBoyz episode 6. Why don't you tell us what happened this day of? What day did this come out, and what else happened in the world that day?
Well, this happened on November 30th of the year 2003. You know what? It's actually an interesting fact. It's, you know, when like you get into random hobbies or random things that you were never into before, and then they start to like pop into your life in different ways. Like, you know, it's part of like that whole zeitgeist or whatever people say. Simulation theory is what I believe.
All right. Yeah. Zeitgeist and simulation theory, two incredibly different things, but let's go with that.
When I looked at the fact that just happened to be today, good old Gertrude Elderley, she was an American swimmer who was the first female to swim across the English Channel in 1926. Oh, okay. But she actually died at the ripe age of 98. And I say that because I just watched this whole documentary about this whole subculture of these people that just swim the English Channel. It's like every year they go there, they train. It was a really good documentary.
I got a question. Yeah. Explain how you swim across something like the BBC.
You don't know how to swim across the BBC?
I don't.
I bet you fucking do. Look at your mustache, buddy.
I've swam across a couple of BCs in my time. Well, thanks very much for that stat of the day, or that fact of the day, Chris. November 30th, you said, eh?
Yes, November 30th.
November 30th. And if you're curious as to where our Viva La Bam episodes are, we just had a little bit of a hitch in our ability to get our hands on those episodes in the right way. We will be back there soon, I think. It'll be a little bit of time, maybe in our next episode. Otherwise, we'll stay going with WildBoyz until we finish the first season. But WildBoyz, this time, it is the first season, but it's the second time that we visited this place. It's Alaska.
It seems to be a common trend, eh?
It is. It feels like they went... Sorry, excuse me?
Two partses. I mean, it's still a little early. It's only 2:30, right?
Okay, next time we'll record at 11 p.m. when you're finally waking up.
I will be fucking lights out. I'll be dynamite. You'll be fucking sleeping because you go to bed in your fucking pajamas with your gloves and mask and fucking socks on.
Yeah,
but 9:30 at night.
It's a lot of information. A lot of information you gave there, but all of it is true. I'm usually asleep by 11 p.m. I do sleep with gloves on. I do have a mask. There's a science behind it. I don't need to get into this. It's a reasonable thing. I need to get to bed. I need to spread warm blood to the center of my body, my own blood. I'm not a psychopath.
Speaking of warm blood, do you think they had warm blood in this little intro when they're floating in
they would
the fucking
have to
iceberg
be.
Ocean? Yeah.
All I was thinking, great segue, Chris. The introduction of this episode, you got Chris Pontius floating in what I could only imagine is incredibly uncomfortably cold water. Alaska, he says, home of the ice, salmon, and other cool stuff. He sounds like you introducing an episode. It's kind of nice to see that Chris
all I
is
could think
alike.
about when I saw this, Mikey, it's like, I think it's a debate. I'd be curious to see what people think. You don't like the ocean. You're scared of ocean creatures.
Yeah. Reasonably so, yes.
Polar, like forget about the coldness of the water. Just from a fear factor, is swimming in the Arctic scarier or less scarier than swimming in, say, the fucking warm ocean?
You know, so both of them suck. I'll say no to either option immediately. But I would say the cold is probably scarier, not because of the cold, but because of the dark. And like, I'm thinking if there are prehistoric giant monsters that are still alive, they probably survived in colder water from the Ice Age. There's probably the woolly mammoth. Where did it go? It probably turned into a fish monster of some sort. And I don't want it to get its tusks all over me.
I fully agree. It's like there's something that creeps me out about it. I don't know, like something lurking under an iceberg. Like, it's that bright blue water.
I know.
Like, what kind of, like, you know, you go to the harshest climates anywhere in the world, you find the harshest, strongest people. You know, you find the same thing with animals. So you got to figure the sketchier ones are hanging out.
That's a great point. And now here's another thing, Chris. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but this may further increase your fear towards swimming in cold water. But listen, you got these glaciers. If Encino Man can be unlocked from a glacier, what's to say some giant sea monsters aren't holed up in there? Polar ice caps are melting. They melt so much and they reveal that giant megalodon that we've been looking for. No, thank you. I'm going the other way.
Yeah, I agree.
Speaking of going the other way, you got Steve-O and Chris Pontius going the right way on some dog sleds in their thongs or their jock straps again.
Jockstrap dog sledding.
Jockstrap dog sledding is a great name for this sketch. It basically sums it up pretty good. The whole thing I can think of, because we see the dog sledding happening, and Chris Pontius is dancing. He's doing his typical dance.
I love his dancing.
The whole time I was watching this, all I could think was, Chris, my brother, is fucking loving this right now. I was just picturing you on your own watching this, just giggling, just at Chris's dance, because you love Pontius.
Dude, it's so funny that you say that, because there's a part later on the episode where I couldn't focus on what was happening because all I was thinking was how much joy you were actually getting out about a specific part.
Really?
I swear to God, I have it in my notes. It's so funny.
That's amazing. I can't wait to get to there. Yeah. Just like Steve-O can't wait to get to wherever it is that these dogs are taking them on the sleds. He's shaking by the end of it. And he wants to get there so quick that he ends up strapping himself along with the dogs and running along with them, which is just great. What a fucking beginning to... Have we had a better beginning to an episode of Jackass than this one?
It was fun. It was right up the direction that Jackass is finally coming into its own identity. You're starting to get a lot more, or sorry, WildBoyz is. You're starting to get a lot more of those types of jokes. It's just, I mean, you don't necessarily need something to be intense or scary. And I find in WildBoyz a lot is just actually the exact opposite. Because when something is so dangerous, how much can you really get out of it? Like, it either goes really bad or it doesn't. You know what I mean? So you need to build the character behind this. It's like
when you talk about in Shark Week how they were doing like the swimming with sharks and the water skiing with sharks. I'm like, I wouldn't even enjoy watching that. Like, what the risk isn't that you're doing something and it's like, oh, you're gonna get hit in the nuts. It's like, if something fails, you die. Like, no thanks. I'm not. And I think the thing that separates WildBoyz from Jackass and even Viva La Bam is that silliness is what attracts us to it. It isn't the danger. And they're finally starting to learn that. So we move, and just as silly as the next little title card we get is Chris Pontius queuing up the sea gorilla and how much they fucking hate it. They just, for some reason, pick a fight with these sea lions and just pretend like they're the worst things ever. What is that about?
What did he say? Like the most despicable son of Satan or like something so aggressive.
He's like, if there's one animal we hate, it's the sea gorilla. And it's like, dude, what did the sea gorilla ever do to you? But I like that they're developing this story. They're so fucking cute.
Dude, and they jump onto boats. Yeah, like, remember when we were on the boat coming back from deep sea fishing? I've seen tons of videos of it on the internet since, but I didn't know it was a thing. All of a sudden, we're just like coming back into port, and there was just a fucking giant sea lion on the back of the boat,
just hanging out.
How did he jump on there?
That's a great question.
He doesn't even have fucking arms. Like, he just, do you know what I'm saying? He just rolls on. Like, how fast are these fucking things that they could just go on a boat and just flop onto it somehow?
I guess they're pretty fast. I mean, they're basically one giant muscle and a fin. They're like, they're the mermaids that we get.
I don't even think they're muscle, just like fat waves. Like, it just powers them, like,
it could be.
I just fucking love these things. I'm so surprised I hate them. It really threw me off.
I know. I feel like they're purposely playing the heel card in a WWE match. Like, why would you hate those things, right? But I could tell you something that would love these things if they could get their jaws around them would be a coyote. It's just a bundle of fat. Why wouldn't coyotes want to eat these things? Manny's back, and we're here with a bunch of coyotes. It's basically just an excuse for the WildBoyz to howl and get coyotes to howl along with them. Chris, you know more about animals than I do. All in the most inconsequential ways, I'll say. I'll give you that. You know a lot about something that doesn't matter ultimately in our lives whatsoever, unless we just so happen to podcast about WildBoyz. Just shut the fuck up. What is this? Is this coyote that we're looking at? Is this a baby coyote or is this a full-size coyote?
No, definitely not a full-size coyote.
So that is a baby?
It's not a baby. It's probably like a yearling. Like, you can tell their fur hasn't fully developed into like the proper coat that they normally have. You could tell by the exact diameter of the teeth.
You can see that on this one. You can see this.
Yeah, it's between for sure 100%. It's exactly, I would say, 11 months and 23 days old.
11 months and 23 days old. Wow, just 7 days
not
away
quite
from
a baby.
7 or 8 days, depending on if it's a 30 or 31 day month. Not quite a baby.
Yeah, you got to factor in the leap year and everything.
That's fair. We should really.
Which I did take into my calculations. Obviously,
I can see the chalkboard in the background. I wasn't sure what those equations were for, but now I know.
You can see those things floating up like
yeah. They're just floating around you. Yeah. I just was enamored by this coyote. It was the cutest thing ever. There's something about this, and some dogs will do this as well. When you howl around them, they'll start to howl. Yeah. There's some dogs.
You did that, and one of them had like a raspy old voice, and she was so old, and she felt so bad that she could. So we're all like, and then she's just like.
It's crazy how it brings out this primal thing in them. I mean, their whole premise is that they're doing it because it's a rock band, which is awesome. That's funny. Manny's there howling as well. Coyote rock band. But in this case, not
Coyote Ugly.
I was just going to say, not Coyote Ugly. This is Coyote Cute because they're cute as hell.
Ooh, I like that.
Now we move to another cutie. He's sleeping on the couch, and he's introduced once again to a black mamba. This one, piloted by Steve-O, slaps the shit out of Chris Pontius. The black mamba, obviously, if you've been listening to these episodes, someone puts on a black sock as a little puppet, pretends to be a snake, and slaps the shit out of someone who's sleeping. It's Steve-O and Chris Pontius, but Chris, there's another mamba involved in this one, a white mamba of varying size, unspecified size. Explain to us what happens here, Chris.
Just to preface this, like when you kind of start thinking that you're getting bored of the black mamba, we've seen it so many times. They do something like this and totally redeem themselves. Like it was like you could tell Pontius was fucking pissed this time. Like normally
I've
he
never
plays
seen
it
him
off
this
pretty
pissed
well, and then you're
this,
like, oh my god, he's pissed, and he wanted to be mad so much until he looked up. And all like out of being woken up brutally, he finally puts things together and he looks up and he's like, are you two naked together doing this? So the cameraman and Steve-O did this for some reason, buck naked, and he couldn't be mad anymore. Like he was just like,
how
you
can
fucking
you be?
guys.
It's such a good reveal because he says it, and I'm like, did he just say, are you naked? And then the camera pans to Steve-O and he's naked, and Steve-O's reaction is like he's almost upset that Pontius had to ask. He's like, well, yeah, of course I'm naked. Like, what do you expect? Of course I am. It was great. Exactly. I love that.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
You talk about swimming in the cold water and whether it's going to be scary or not. I think a lot of people would be afraid to swim with sharks. I would be equally as afraid to swim with these animals. A killer whale.
I think I would be more afraid.
They just seem like little bastards.
Cool. They seem to be cool with humans. Like in the wild, at least. Yeah. The only time there's ever been attacks have been in like SeaWorld and things along those lines. Everyone knows, we've all seen what's happening with those whales there. They're taken out and they're very, very intelligent. Right. These fucking things are the best killers on the planet.
That's why it's killer whale. Everywhere
in the different world, they have different pods that actually feed off different things, and they've developed unique tactics to specifically overcome the challenges in their areas. Like some of them will create a tidal wave and knock seals off of floating icebergs into the water that are hiding from them. Some of them will actually beach themselves and get the seals on land and find a way to get themselves, like wiggle themselves back off. They've developed this tactic where now they're starting to go after great white sharks and eat their liver. They have a taste for great white shark liver specifically. People kept finding all these great white sharks with just their liver gone, and they've learned how to flip the great whites upside down, put them in tonic and mobility, eat their liver while they're alive, and then just fuck off. And great whites are so fucking scared of these things. They were wondering why they're not seeing the same great white sharks. And it's because this pod of orcas have moved in. And when a pod of orca moves in, the great whites like fuck off for like 3-4 years. They don't go back to the same area.
That's nuts.
Yeah. I watched this whole documentary on it. It was so fucking cool.
I mean, I like that they're on our side. They're mammals, right? Like they're like any other whale.
They're cool, but like, what if they all of a sudden change? They're like, fuck it, man. There's not enough fish in the ocean. Let's eat people. They would fucking they'd find a way to get us in our homes,
dude. You and I have some pretty. We'd have some pretty tasty livers because it's fat and our livers are dying on us. So we'd be the first ones to go. I'm surprised, and maybe that's why Steve-O didn't take part in this one, which kind of surprised me. They asked Manny right before going in. He says keep in mind these things have the capacity to rip us apart. And he's not even sure anyone has swam with killer whales in the wild before, which I found hard to believe. But it's insane to me that he says that. And Manny's a pretty to the point guy. He says that knowing that it's true and is so calm about it and does it anyway. I feel like Chris Pontius and Steve-O, they've got this thing about them where it's like, no matter what happens, they're safe. They feel invincible. Manny knows that animals can legitimately tear you limb from limb, and he's in there with them like it's nothing. Like, what a guy.
He's unbelievable. And they do. I remember hearing them talking about it. People are asking, and they're like, you feel so safe when you're with him.
Really?
Yeah. He's so impressive. Educational. He shelters people. he would take the brunt of it because I think he gets a thrill when he has those like experiences. So if something's going out of hand, he'll distract the animal. But they're just like, yeah, it's just unbelievable how safe you feel when you're with Manny.
That's amazing. I mean, you know, it's a couple episodes ago, we had them going diving in the swamp at night for crocodiles, like,
So nice.
or alligators. Like, yeah, not a chance I'd be doing any of that unless it were with Manny. But I do a lot of things with Manny if you're with me. We also get to see. Oh yeah, yeah.
One quick thing. I found this a little interesting.
Okay.
Steve-O made a joke about about the little killer whale, how it was showing off for the cameras,
yes.
like it wanted to get a job at SeaWorld.
Yeah, at MTV.
Which is a very ironic. No, he said at SeaWorld specifically.
I thought he said
the
MTV.
MTV cameras so he could get a job at SeaWorld.
Right.
Which is very ironic because Steve-O's known for his protest later on of SeaWorld when he got arrested for all that shit that had to do with that. So
yeah, I think he climbed to the top of a crane, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then, so he's like anti-SeaWorld. I think as everybody in the world fucking should be. At this point, there's no evidence that he shouldn't. And I'm not a cancel culture kind of person, so
Chris,
this is
you
just
can't
fucking wrong.
that word doesn't apply. We're not canceling SeaWorld. It's not the same thing.
I'm sure the people from SeaWorld will feel that way. They'll say, "Oh, this can't." I'm sure they would, but that
is true. It is something. It's a term that people throw around when they feel like they've been hard done by. And in that case, it's like SeaWorld. You're not hard done by. You're just a bunch of fucking assholes. You know what? Let's sacrifice their livers to the to the orcas.
Agree, man. This fucking assholes.
We see them also riding on a blow up orca with the orcas. Like, I say this and you're going to be like, well, everyone's got a price. You could not pay me enough money to do this.
Yeah,
you could.
I think that's sketchier than swimming with them.
If you offered me $1 million, I think it is because they're not seeing you as a human. They're just seeing you as something in the water.
Potentially
out of curiosity, they'll hit you.
I agree. I
$1 million. If you offered me $1 million, I would not take it. And I think it would be the opposite, where it's like I say now I would do it for $1 million, and then I get on the boat and you do it, and I'm too scared. I know right now I would not get on that boat. If you walked into my place and you said, I've got $1 million for you, we're going out. We could go out to Lake Ontario, just outside my place, and you could ask me to do that. I'm still not doing it for $1 million. We move from the orcas, from those big boys to a big boy on land. Looks like a beached whale himself. The WildBoyz.
That's a beef fucking cake if I've ever seen one. Eh?
That is a big ass. That is a big ass, and both the WildBoyz have signed it.
He's just a beefy boy, you know. Like he's beefy in a good way, you know. Like I know he's a big boy, but there's just something about him, you know. He's got a nice face. He has a decent jawline, but he's got some.
Okay. All right, I like it. You know, there's something for everyone there. I appreciate that. Maybe I was a little bit harsh on him.
I think you were.
I just see that ass and how far away it is from the rest of his body, and I'm like, there is no, like, I'm so skinny. I don't have an ass to speak of. And it takes me a long time and a lot of dexterity to wipe my ass properly. There's not a fucking chance this guy's hitting every corner and crevice of that ass. There isn't a chance in the world. I have to use a tushy, like a bidet attachment for my toilet. It wouldn't even work for him. And you know, it's fine. I'm not shaming him or anything like that. But like, all I could think when I saw that ass is that thing fucking stinks. It stinks. I know it stinks.
Steve actually talked about this later on. He said it actually took them 25 minutes to complete the signature.
Yeah, they had to wait until they flew to Australia to hit the other side of his ass to finish the signature. All right. So we move again to the brown bear, and it's Pontius this time in the brown bear suit, a suit that I just find absolutely adorable, but I didn't find there to be that much exciting about this stunt. It's basically Pontius running up a river, trying to catch a salmon. He catches one and throws it back in the river. Not too much about this one. Was there anything about this that caught you? Did I miss something, or is this just kind of lame?
No. In my mind, there was a part after he caught the salmon where they squirted the salmon eggs into one of their mouths or something, but that must be from a different sketch.
Well, there was earlier on, last time they were in Alaska, they did squirt the salmon eggs into Steve-O and then the cum into Steve-O.
Yeah,
so
that's really cool that I can't remember last week when we studied this and fucking do a podcast.
Well, you were up so early. Who's to remember? But here's another thing. Listen, when it's time to test how dangerous an animal is, you bring in Steve-O and you get him to drop trout and you get him to put his ass right on that animal. We had it with the scorpions last week, and we got it with the porcupine this week, and we're introduced to the porcupine by Stephen Kroschel, a porcupine
expert. Who the
expert.
fuck is this guy, man?
This fucking magician turned porcupine expert. Like,
magician. Honestly, that guy's a sick fuck.
Chris,
I just
said he's a magician. Of course, he's a sick fuck. It's in his delivery. It's like he sits there like he's explaining the mating process of a porcupine, and he's doing it with this shtick. Like, why does a porcupine expert have shtick? Like, you could tell this is how he does it every time. And he's like,
dude,
well, males make a sound to attract a female. They're like, try it, Steve-O. And Steve-O's like, he's like, that sounds like a sick one with a cold. But anyway, and it's like, you can tell he has said that every single time. Yeah.
It's like, how can you say like hard porcupine facts and it's like scientific and everything, and all I'm hearing is I fuck kids. Like, that's all that fucking came across from that guy's fucking mouth. He's such a fucking creepy pedophile. He probably fucks porcupines and sticks pine needles up his fucking dick or whatever the hell.
Sounding. That's how he discovered sounding, which is sounding. You never heard of sounding?
No.
I mean, you basically just described it, so you kind of know what it is now.
I can't even talk about that. It's
don't
like
even talk about it.
Going in a dick hole is just like, it fucks me up. I can't even think about that.
Wasn't that
why is it called sounding though?
Wasn't that rookie out of the Pacers? What was his name? Something Inadicol?
I wish I had this. I know it's a good joke, but I can't think of the guy. No,
I thought that was his name, Inadicol. His last name was Inadicol, like Joseph Inadicol. I can't remember. Maybe I'm misremembering. I'm not sure.
Question for you.
Yeah.
How old were you when you realized a porcupine isn't a porcupine, like Porky pine?
Well, let's see. The date is December 3rd, 2021. That makes me 32 years old.
So you always knew it was a porcupine?
No, Chris, the joke was that I just learned that today, that it's porcupine.
Oh, shit.
Yes. So first of all, you completely missed my joke about in a dickhole, which is just sounds like it's the name of a rookie on the Pacers. Secondly,
if you just said like a Serbian basketball player, I would have clued in, but I thought you were reaching for a specific guy. No, you were too specific in your joke. Here's the thing. If I specify a nationality, then people could call me racist, and I didn't want to do that because Inadicol would be anything. So I just figured the guy on the Pacers. You can't be racist to Eastern Europeans. It doesn't count. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. Well, we have a lot of Eastern European in us, so
exactly right.
Here's my thinking. Here's what I took away from this one before Steve-O took his pants away was that this guy didn't learn about the mating rituals of porcupines. This guy's in Stephen Crowshield didn't learn about the mating rituals of a porcupine after he became an expert. He became a porcupine expert because he knew about the mating rituals of a porcupine and he wanted to spend his life around them. The porcupine, the male porcupine, brings out his dick, which is almost quite literally a pencil dick, and pees all over the female. That's apparently the end of the ritual there. And they test out the power of the porcupine, which obviously shoots its quills at. That's
a question that I wanted to ask. You said shoots its quills. That's what I assume. It's not like if you go near it, does it actually like have like a projectile where it shoots the quills, or do you have to put enough pressure on that the barb gets into you and then it pulls out? I think
it can kind of unleash some. I do think it
like
can.
Dogs, there's no way a dog, like when you see dogs that get hit with them, they have like 30 in their face, and you're like, a dog would have got one prick and been like, all right, fuck it, man, I'm out. Like, so I kind of assume that they could shoot him.
Well, I don't know. Stephen Crowshield got one prick and decided he wanted a lifetime's more worth of pricks. So who knows?
Very true.
This looks super painful. These barbs are barely in Steve-O, but you can tell the sincerity and the seriousness with which they're going about it. They're immediate, like, pull it slow. They talk about how there's barbs on the porcupine's quills so that the more you move, the deeper into your ass they get. Like, it doesn't seem like a fun thing. And the amount they have to pull, Steve-O's in like quite a significant amount of pain.
Yeah, definitely. You could just see that whole, like, as his skin is just pulling to that point. But
it looks rough.
I don't want to sit on a porcupine.
Nor do I, Chris. That should go without saying. I feel like that's not something. The only person who needs to say that so that we know it's true is Stephen Crowshield. Otherwise, everyone knows no one wants to sit on a porcupine. He also wants a porcupine to sit on his face too. He's sit on his face. So we talk about, listen, we got the Steve-O sexy ass hanging out, and we go to the sexiest animal in nature, according to Chris Pontius. It's the female Arctic fox. A little bit of an introduction. I love the Arctic fox. I've got a Shiba Inu.
I did a project on the Arctic fox in grade 3.
Did you really?
Yes.
What's the most interesting thing you learned about them?
It was grade 3. I can't remember last week. You expected me to think like that? I fried a lot of brain cells in my life.
That's fair. I wrote a book on dinosaurs and I wrote a book on blue whales when I was in grade 2. And I do remember that one thing about them is with one gulp of water, they could fill 50 bathtubs. And I said, and here's me in grade 2. I said, by comparison, we all think that a can of Coke has a lot of liquid in it. But if you poured a can of Coke into a bathtub, it would barely form a ring around the drain. Now imagine how much liquid is in a blue whale's mouth. Now that was maybe the best creative writing I've ever done in my life.
That's pretty damn good. I got to give you
it's
credit
not
there.
Bad. Thank you. So we're looking at the Arctic fox. The Arctic fox leaves, so they try to go into his den basically and just do a little bit of a foxtrot in front of it and dance. It's kind of weird.
When Pontius gets down and does like kind of fucks the hole, and then Steve-O does like the on the back reverse 69, whatever you want to call it. I'm like, this is WildBoyz really starting to come up to what we missed.
It's so WildBoyz. It's so weird. The whole time I'm like, what the fuck am I looking at? But not looking away because it's incredibly entertaining. The dance Pontius was doing was
I love it.
So erotic. In so such a good way. He's just, there's something about this guy, man. God damn it. If I were, if I were a tree or if I were a woman, I would give him my bald eagle. And we're looking at a bald eagle in this next sketch. Apparently the longest lifespan of any bird, which is why it's gone bald, according to what they're saying. It just swoops in, grabs something from the water, and that's that. Bald eagles, Chris, where do they rank for you on birds? You like them? You hate them?
I think they're like in the top 2 for sure. The golden eagle I actually like better. The golden eagles are the ones that the Mongolians use to like hunt for them. They like train these fucking golden eagles and they walk around. They go on their horseback with them on their arm, and then they just freaking go and they pick up like antelopes or like whatever animals from them. It's absolutely nutty.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because you say antelopes, I'm like, there's no way that big. But like, I don't know, eagles are pretty impressive. That wouldn't surprise me.
It's crazy. I was like so stoned the other day and I stumbled across this documentary and it was like, it's the most mystical shit I've ever seen. Like you see in video games, the guys that have the fucking birds on their arms, like this is real life, man. Their homies are fucking, like, you know, like with the leather glove and shit.
Pirates have parrots on their shoulders. Right. You're talking about falconers. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like falconers, exactly.
Yeah, so we move then to the white gorilla suits, probably the most out of place stunt in this one, but also just kind of...
I think it was a Yeti suit.
Was it? Oh, maybe you're right. I was thinking white gorilla, but Yeti makes a lot more sense. Mm-hmm. You see them sledding, they're chasing animals, they're skating, they're back on that trampoline thing at the Inuit group. They've got the, you know, when you come back from a hunt and they have that blanket thing and they toss you up. Steve-O in an earlier episode in Alaska took a skateboard on it, but now they're there as the Yetis. The craziest part of this one, Chris, I'm sure you'd agree with it, is when they walk past a fucking bear.
Yeah.
What the fuck are they doing?
It's every once in a while, like, it's so funny how they will throw away something so intense, like it's nothing. Like this skit was just light, so light. It was funny, It was whatever, it was charming. It was maybe even a little boring, but I enjoyed it. And then all of a sudden they just walk by a bear like nothing happened, which is beyond sketchy. It's one thing to do in a human outfit or just in your human skin, I guess, but to throw on something that kind of resembles what could be a threat in the animal kingdom is just absolutely stupid and nutty.
And they're so close to the bear that the bear hears it, turns around and is kind of looking like the bear's as surprised as I was. It's like, what the fuck are you? You know what I am? What are you doing here? Like it takes the bear a while to be like, how the fuck did you get so close to me?
It'd be like a little small guy like trying to fight a boxer. Like, do you know what you're doing right now, bud?
Or it'd be like a one-legged man trying to fight Nigel the Hammer Dawes in a boxing ring.
Ooh,
like Johnny Knoxville did in, I think, like episode 3 of season 1 of Jackass. So you see them kind of run away from the bear and the bear chases them. And that brings us right into our next stunt where they learn that you're not supposed to run away from a bear because then the bear will chase you. It likes that game of, I'd say cat and mouse, but it's more like human and bear or bear and human to keep that symmetrical. And it just shows them right after they say that running from a bear. Manny in tow as well. Like how safe is he making them feel? And should he make them feel a little bit more afraid if that's the case?
Yeah, that has bad idea written all over it. Like
I know.
It's like when something like that happens, I'm not, one of the conspiracy guys like you are with fucking green screens and shit, but like, could that have been a bear in the wild? Like, or was it maybe a fucking trained bear? Because that's just, I just don't think Manny would be stupid enough to actually do that with a real wild animal.
Especially if people watching this haven't ever seen how insanely fast bears are. They sprint faster than humans can, and they don't care what the terrain is either. They can be going vertical and they'll still sprint faster than we can sprint horizontal. I kind of agree. I think you know how there are those areas in Alaska that are kind of these areas where either there's a lot of salmon, so there's a lot of food supply, so the bears aren't as aggressive. You know, we went to Alaska, you and I, Chris, once. We are kind of the wild boys of this podcast.
We are.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, we are. I'm not really that wild. Like I said, I'm asleep at 11 p.m. with gloves on. But you know, I'm
waking you up with the black mamba.
You're waking me up with the black mamba, exactly. While I'm mid sounding session. So I do think that maybe the bears are just a little bit less aggressive. But they, if they got caught by the bear, they would become Alaskan cuisine, which is what we see these guys eating in the next scene. It's all blubber and fat and eyeballs. We've all seen the episode of Popular Mechanics for Kids where I think it's Alicia Cuthbert goes in and tries some of the cuisine in that probably was a Canadian show now that I think about it. But I think she was in
probably the Northwest Territories or
Northwest
something like
Territories, yeah. Could have been before Nunavut was a thing. By the way, if you're American, you don't know this. We have territories and provinces in Canada. We had in I think the early 2000s, a new territory was formed. It's pronounced Nunavut, but it's spelled none of it, basically. And it became a thing on April 1st. So everyone thought they were joking. Yeah. Everyone thought they were joking.
That was the funniest fucking thing ever. Like, even it took like months to actually clear up whether or not that actually happened or not.
I know. Exactly.
Here
it was
we
like
are
when they
20
told
years
us
later.
It was like when they told us that again, this is all pre-internet, when they told us the $2 bill, which we also had in Canada, was going away in favor of a $2 coin. We heard the rumor, but we're like, I don't know if this is true. And then when you saw one in the wild, I remember the first one we saw was at a library and the whole family gathered around to take a look at this thing.
So true,
Life was so fucking different back then. Are you kidding me?
I miss it so much.
I miss that. So the idea of a family being like, look at this coin, as opposed to being like, get the kids down. They're playing Fortnite. They built it. It's like, Jesus Christ, calm down. Let's go look at a coin every so often.
So this was the sketch that I know normally when you're a little sensitive, like not sensitive, but you're aware of like, you know, culture, insulting the cultures of different things. And so I thought at first you would be a little trigger shy about this, but when you see the people in the room, they're fucking loving it. They're laughing their asses off. And specifically about this is, well, first of all, Pontius said he hadn't had meat in X amount of years. So he was on vegan.
Let me set this up first, because basically what they're doing is they're going in to try all the traditional food from the Inuit community that he's in. Now, the saying, you know, use all parts of the whale or whatever, all parts of the animals, is traditionally attributed to Inuit culture, where no part of their kill is wasted, right? Like that's kind of where it comes from. That includes the blubber, it includes the lard, the fat, the eyes, the organs. They eat or do something with everything. And the WildBoyz come in to eat all the stuff that we traditionally would not eat in North America. And Chris, you're right. Pontius says, I haven't had meat in 11 years. Oh, yeah, right. Fucking, I'm an idiot. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, also true. It isn't traditionally what we eat in North America.
Real North America. That's like as North of America as it could be.
That's a good point. Look at me fucking up.
But I was very surprised. I guess Pontius maybe was on a vegan kick, or he wasn't eating meat. So the best part about this is he's going from 0 to 100, literally.
Is that true? Do you think that was true, though? I couldn't tell if he was lying.
I don't think he made that. Like, it just didn't seem like he had a joking cadence to it when he was saying that. I think he was dead serious. So I'll take his word for it to make it funnier. But it's specifically how much he was struggling, because I know the gagging thing when people are fighting off is what just tickles your fucking fancy. So I just knew you would be loving this one. Continue, Mikey.
Pontius looked like he was trapped, and he couldn't escape because he didn't want to insult them. And then he realized they were laughing at him, and then he just didn't want to be a pussy. So he's trying to eat it without gagging, and he just ends up vomiting. And I always watch these ones, and I've said this before on past episodes, with the feeling that they're probably severely hungover as well, which just makes me so happy. You and I, whenever we, as the WildBoyz, would go on vacation together, you would get severely hungover. The next day as a family, we'd be going and doing excursions and stuff, and we'd always have to stop the car because you'd be gagging and vomiting, and I would just be laughing my little ass off. My little easy to clean shit ass off, unlike the big boy we saw in the earlier the earlier segment. So this, yes, I was laughing completely. I was also thinking, were the people there like, oh, fuck these guys, like making a big deal, this is what we eat, this is our thing? Or do you think they were kind of proud? It's like, oh, you guys can't handle, like, oh, I think it's the latter. Like we really want to take
take a stance like on some moral high ground, like everybody, we have to take care and cater towards everybody. These are fucking Inuits. They're tough as fucking nails.
Yeah.
They're like ultimate human beings. You know what I mean? They live off the land. They could do anything that we could do, probably better over here in terms of like self-sufficiency and things along
100%.
those lines. So do you think they're worried about someone not liking their food? No, I think they did absolutely look at it with a badge of honor. Like, we could fucking handle this. You pussies can't.
They know so much. Yeah, they know so much more how to hunt and how to use what's available to them. They could use me as a weapon to kill an animal. Like, they would figure out a way to use me as a physical weapon, and I'd just be sitting there like, I could fix your iPhone for you, but beyond that, I'm fucked. I also I loved this one, like you said, all the gagging and everything. It made me good. You know what it would kind of remind me of is like when you have someone who can really handle their alcohol, and that person has a drink that's very like high proof, and they're like, try this, and the person tries it and they cough, and then the person laughs. They're not insulted that you can't handle their drink. They're proud of the fact that they can and you can't. So I think there was an element to that for sure. So we move on. How about a palate cleanse after all that food? We get our favorite segment of every episode. They're herding muskox with the thongs on, as they chase the herd. I always love that. And then they get a gift. They get a gift from someone in the community. And it's a giant walrus penis.
Huge tallywhacker on that guy.
I like that you're bringing back tallywhacker. That's the Chris Pontius special. Sorry, I'm allergic to that word, apparently. I just sneezed.
I was like, wow, great timing. It kind of actually helped out the word there. It was like an exclamation point.
This whole thing looks like a fucking exclamation point. It pointy indeed. Turns out walruses have bones in their penis, which is impressive.
I wonder if that's true.
No, that is absolutely true. And there's a name for it. Whatever that thing is, like the walrus penis, there's a name for it. And it's actually something that hunters cherish, like they look for as a trophy if they get a walrus. Can't remember what it's called, but Steve-O looks fucking miserable in this one, right? Like, have you noticed that there are some times where, like, I know that he's constantly like the fun loving guy, but there are some sketches where it's like, you know, lighten the fuck up, dude. I get that you're hungover and you don't want to be here, but like, I think it's more than
hungover. If you look back, because I pay attention to this shit, it's usually in a very remote place where it's probably extremely hard, if not impossible, to find drugs. So he's probably on a bit of like come down or detox or something along those lines. Like, it's when he's out in the midst of the fucking African bush, or, you know, Alaska is fucking next to impossible to get drugs because you have to basically get it from the States through two borders to get there, et cetera, et cetera. And then especially a lot of these Inuit towns and things like that, they're absolutely dry. Like, there's no booze allowed whatsoever. So that's a good point. I bet you that's exactly what it is. And if we do pay attention to where and when these are happening, I can almost guarantee you they're all in very remote areas.
That's a good point. He could very well be on a come down. And speaking of come, the walrus's penis is called a bacula, and I'd heard that name before. I'm assuming that they come.
Do you think
like
they like to hit it from the bacula?
I would hope so. I wouldn't want. I can't imagine that walruses could be attracted to another walrus. It's got to be from behind. Because they don't have their. They can't. If
vampires weren't part bats, they were part walruses. Then Dracula would have a bacula.
What's he going to be sucking? He's going to be sucking that bacula, though? I don't know.
Ooh, fucking take that bacula, run there. I want a bacula. No more whiskey dick, right? Sword. You got to fucking. You're hard, man. Not all times. Like, you at least got something they can fucking ride.
Oh my God. We get we move on to another sketch. It's Pontius. He's still in an area where it apparently doesn't get dark very quickly. It's 11 p.m. and it's light out, and that's it. And then it's just, this is one of those gay stereotype ones that I don't think we need to spend too much time on. And we can move past that. I don't care.
It was fucking good, man. I enjoyed that. He was really spot on.
He was really spot on. According to what? Who in your life have you ever met that's actually
according to the 90s? According to the 90s. That's where I grew up.
According to the 90s, that's
everything
fair.
I have, every stereotype is based on the 90s, and that's why I'm not acceptable today.
That's why I, as a human being, am not acceptable.
I do not mesh well.
What I would call acceptable is this next stunt, maybe my favorite stunt in terms of how much I actually laughed. It's we got Roy Corral, the musk ox expert. This is probably right after they did the herd with the thongs on. The musk ox, apparently an animal that lived with the woolly mammoth and the saber-toothed tigers back in the Ice Age.
That's really cool.
I didn't know that either. Chris, this makes me want to ask you the question, mainly so I can give my answer. And that's typically why I ask questions in the first place. But I'll let you give your answer first, and I'll pretend to listen. What is your favorite animal of all time?
My favorite
it can exist. Could be a dinosaur. It can be live now. It can be whatever.
Oh, do you know what's so funny? I thought about this, and something popped into my head a while ago. And I was just hoping for the opportunity to say it, and I have no idea what that is right now. And I'm really pissed off. I'm going to have to think about that for a second because I don't want to get this one wrong because it was something I was so fucking proud of.
It's not Sarcophilus satanicus?
Oh, God damn it. That's a really good answer.
No, my favorite one, believe it or not, always has been the fucking saber-toothed tiger. Are you kidding me?
That's a
Are
good
you
answer,
kidding
man.
me? Are you kidding? Who am I? Kucherov? Nikita Kucherov? Are you kidding me? Come on. I love the saber-toothed tiger, and for a time I thought that they were fake, and then finding out that they were real was just the most terrifying thing in the world, but also made me want to live at the Ice Age.
Yeah, see, when this whole sketch, it just like threw me for a loop because all I could think is like, how bad do they smell? Like they're called a musk ox. Like musk is because they're musky. You know what I mean? Like they're named after a stench. They're probably just thick and disgusting. And when you see those fucking will knots.
Yeah, the dingleberries. It's so well. Actually, so to clarify, musk actually is a specific substance that's secreted by like deer type animals. So it could be that that's just describing what that. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I don't know, but I can't imagine it's great.
Oh, I think I was thinking
musk
must.
is more of like you're thinking must like musty, but musk is more like a pheromonal kind of thing. It's like the smell of your sexuality, which I can smell through the webcam right now. I agree though. The whole idea of playing the game lick that lock, getting close to those things probably stinks because they got dingleberries all over them. And Chris Pontius, he does it. He fucking commits to the bit. He licks that lock. And I like that they make a game out of it. That's the kind of thing that always makes it fun to me when they kind of like make their own lore about what it is that they're doing.
And it's like, you're the only one in the club. Sorry?
Yes. Yeah. No, Roy Corral plays along with it. You get the animal expert who's like, that's funny. You're the only person since the Ice Age that's ever done that. You're the only one in the club. And then Pontius says,
Steve-O, you want to join my club? And I love Steve-O's, like, you could tell Steve-O, it took every ounce of fabric to, like, play into it as well. Like, he did not want to do it. He was but he does it, and just how that came off because of it was the best part about this. He was just like, great. Yes, I will. Of course I want to, but you could tell it was so hard for him to...
he was miserable. He was miserable, but not in a way that ruins the stunt. Not in a Preston Lacey miserable kind of way, right?
It worked very
playful.
Well. Yeah,
I totally agree. And so they each lick the lock. They're both parts of that club. Roy chooses apparently not to join them in that club for whatever reason. And then they go and make their own poo locks.
For whatever reason.
It was so fucking great. Yeah, I can't imagine why.
Dude, the single concept about the poo lock, I was like, this is fucking hilarious. They're making it for Pontius. But Steve-O doesn't have hair, so it's literally just smushing poo on his head.
As he's throwing up. So Pontius actually creates his own poo lock, which is so fucking gross, but so funny. Steve-O licks the lock in Pontius's hair.
Oh, I didn't even see that. I think I was laughing so hard I didn't even notice that part, honestly.
And then he gags, and as he's gagging, Pontius just smears shit on his head. Like, this is childhood Mikey. I say childhood Mikey. Big boy Mikey is also fucking loving this one. Vomit and shit. And you know what? I had someone recently in my life question me very sincerely. And from what I ended up finding out, talking behind my back about the fact that I have a funny affinity towards potty humor. And it's just so, I'm like, how is it not funny? I'm not shitting on you. I'm laughing at the concept of farts, and like, I understand why you might say it's immature because that's what you're supposed to do, but you can't tell me objectively that there's nothing funny about farts. Like, all that stuff is really funny. It's funny,
very funny, and everyone doesn't like it. They're like, they do. They're just lying.
They do.
A fart will make you laugh at any time except for the wrong time. And then they'll cling on to that wrong time, you know?
Exactly. It's like how everyone in public is very, like, everyone's bumper sticker is anti-nose picking. But on your own, everyone is just a fucking nasal prospector. We get right in there. You're telling me there's
so
a person out there that isn't picking their nose when they're on their own? Of course they are.
I was picking my nose on my way home driving, and like I do it strategic. At nighttime, I like if I'm too close to someone, I don't know if they can see me through the rearview mirror, so I speed up around them and like I wait for the openings to do it. Like, come on. And then this was like 3 days ago. I'm like, you're telling me everybody doesn't do this, man? You gotta
Everybody
get a
does
out.
it.
Like, I'll put a piece of tissue on my finger and then get in it that way, so I'm not like touching. But then, who really fucking cares, anyways? Really, what's that piece of tissue gonna do?
Do you ever do the thing where you don't have this? Okay, when you say these things expecting everyone else to do them, and sometimes they don't. This is a big risk I'm taking. But do you ever do the thing where you get a nugget out and you don't have tissue or anything, so you flick it and you pretend not to know where it landed because you're like, if I don't know where it landed, I don't have to clean it up. And in the corner of your eye, sometimes you see it and you're like, I didn't see anything. I don't know where the fuck that thing could have gone.
I only do that at like my mom and dad's house or your house. I never do it in my own area.
Well, I do it in your place, so don't worry about it.
All
do enough for both of
invitations
us.
are rescinded from here on out.
Deal. Fine, let's make a pact. I won't do it in your place. You don't do it in mine. We could both do it in mom and dad's, though.
Fair enough, touche.
All right, deal.
And we can secretly both do it anyways.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'm going to do it all the time. All the time. I don't care if you're there or not. I'll do it right in front of you. I don't give a fuck. All in all, what'd you think of this episode? Do you like it?
I did, man. It was fun. It was one of the more I think it was balanced very well. You know what I mean? You had a little bit of everything. I laughed. I enjoed it. I had a lot of fun recording this one. Like, I don't know. I guess it really makes a big difference when I'm not as like drowsy in the morning. But it was either the episode or a combination of the both. But yeah, I really enjoyed it all around.
I think that we're getting closer and closer to them figuring out the formula. One thing I'd love to see is a little bit less of the interstitials that just don't mean anything. I want to see fewer stunts, but longer stunts. I think that this was closer to it than last week's episode, which was South Africa part 2, but had a ton more sketches. Yeah. This one was great. Felt like a good balance. I agree. But that's about it. That takes us to our end of Alaska part 2. Guys, thank you so much for listening around for another week. If you haven't already, make sure to follow us at Jackast Pod on Instagram and Twitter, jackasspod@gmail.com if you have any questions that you want us to address. Join our community. Most importantly, guys, we've actually seen a pretty good uptick in activity from listeners and everything. We want to ride this wave. If you're listening to this and you haven't given us a rating and review, it's so easy. We spend so much time making this podcast and we love really it, but we want to do it for more people. Just click on iTunes, go there. If you don't have an account, create an account. It takes you 2 seconds. Give us a rating and review. It goes such a long way. We've shot up the charts on certain weeks in terms of after shows, which is where we're rated in comedy. We'd love to get higher. So we appreciate everyone who's already done that. And if you haven't, we're not asking for money. Just fucking give us a review. That's it.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Thanks again for listening. Bye. My name's Mikey Aaronworth.
I'm Jason Wellwood. And bye. I'm Chris Aaronworth. I didn't say it. Jay said it. It's not my fault.
And this has been Jackast.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Get into it.
This was a Press X for Sound audio production.